Good morning. It's Thursday, June 9th. For the last 2 days, I've been at the Seafood Industry Conference in Wellington, New Zealand, and I want to give a couple of observations. First of all, sitting here in New Zealand, you can certainly see the center of gravity moving to the east. New Zealand exports to Asia, the US and Europe, but a lot of the interest at the conference here was in what's happening with their exports to Asia. New Zealand has set up a full-time trade office and chef in Shanghai who's working with chefs throughout China to teach them to use more New Zealand product, particularly finfish, and moving beyond things like abalone and spiny lobster. The second thing I wanted to mention, I think the second thing that impressed me at the conference was New Zealand has perhaps the most rationalized fishery in the world. They've gone to a very intensive quota management system with property rights in all their fisheries, even down to such things as seaweed. And the result has been that there's been a lot of rationalization. New Zealand used to have about 3,000 and some odd vessels, and now they probably have less than 1,000. And these vessels are quite scattered all around the coast, so you don't have a concentration of vessels in one or two major ports. Also in New Zealand, the major companies, Sanford, Sealord, Tallies, some of them have also joint ownership with the Maori people, but they also own maybe altogether 60 or 70% of all the quota. So there's a lot of fishing that's been done in a very corporatized and planned method. And this has also enabled them to produce excellent environmental results. I think New Zealand has been recognized in several studies as the single best fishery management regime and most conservation-minded fishery management regime in the world. And here they're very proud of that fact. The third issue that came up, especially given New Zealand's conservation reputation, was the industry was kind of blindsided by a proposal from the Pew Foundation to set up a large no-take marine reserve about 500 kilometers north of New Zealand in an area which is not really heavily fished but does have a little bit of longline tuna fishing. What was surprising was that Pew had written to the government and is proposing some plan, presumably where they would pay something, maybe not. And the government is seriously considering this, but they've not even consulted with the fishing industry. We've written about this in one of our stories today. This area around the Karadak Islands, about 500 kilometers north of New Zealand, is already protected. It's in a benthic protection zone. The New Zealand industry has set aside about 30% of the EEZ as no trawl zones, and Pew's statements about the value of this area concentrate on the benthic habitat, which is already protected. So it really raises the question, what's the benefit here for New Zealand to comply with this request from Pew? And that is a hot topic of debate at the conference. In Wellington, New Zealand, this is John Sackton.